Why can Timothy Geithner avoid paying taxes while you and I will do jail time for the same act? We'll tell you on All the News.
We're back with All the News. It is Chris Aiken, and we are tearing down your new law, the H.R. 3200, signed into law last Tuesday by Barack Obama, the health care takeover of the American people. That's what I'm calling it. I'm going to stop pretending like I can be happy with this thing or I can find good in it, because there's no good in this. There's no good in this whatsoever. And you idiots that are out there that think, oh, it's a good thing, free health care for the poor, blah, 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 blah. How about we just reform the stupid health care, huh? How about if we just do that? Maybe instead of forcing everybody into something that they don't want, and thank God some of these states are suing this country over this nonsense, but instead of forcing that, why don't we actually regulate? If you're going to regulate something, regulate the value for care. Regulate the amount of money people can sue for. And, you know, Barack Obama and Pelosi and all these other idiots, they say that nobody offered up a plan. Well, here's a plan for you, folks. How about this? You say everybody has a median age of about 70. You can figure out the age yourself. And you could check it every year against the number of people that died and how old they were and come up with what the average age is for somebody dying. But for now, we'll say 70, okay? So at 70 years old, you know, you take that number, you multiply it. All right, let me break this down. So we say 70 years old. And now say you're in a car accident and you make $45,000 a year, $50,000 a year, and you're 40 years old, okay? You're in the car accident, the doctor sees you, saves you, tries to save you, accidentally cuts your heart out and you die, okay? The doctor makes the mistake, okay? So basically what he did was he ended a 40-year-old's life that was making $50,000 a year by making a mistake, by being wrong, okay? So here's what you do. You say 70 is the median age, so there's 30 years that would have roughly been left in this person's life had the doctor not screwed up. You multiply $50,000 by 30 years, and that is the maximum number that the doctor can be sued for. That's it, because that's truly what your worth is. You're not worth anything more than that. These lawsuits where people say, well, I was making $22,000 a year working at McDonald's, and or Joe was making that much money, because obviously you weren't because you're dead. But if Joe was working at McDonald's making $22,000 a year and dies or is killed accidentally by a doctor, you know what? He's not worth $20 million. Sorry, folks. I'm sorry if that hurts people's feelings, but that is what true reform is where you take a hard look at what people are worth and you pay them appropriately. And I'm sorry if you're a 67-year-old lady that works at Walmart for $7,000 a year and you get killed by a doctor, but the reality is you're worth 3 years at $7,000 a year. Your family gets $20,000. I'm sorry. That's all the more productive use you had. Maybe that doesn't feel good to hear it said to you, but that's the truth of the matter. That is the reality. If they put that in place, that alone would reform healthcare, because all these ridiculous lawsuits would go away, and therefore what the doctors have to pay for insurance would go away. Does that not make sense? That's simple. That doesn't take 2,970 pages to write out. It takes about a page and a half. Maybe 2 if you put in all the legal mumbo-jumbo that would be required to close the loopholes in it. But that's it. That is it in a nutshell. That's how it works. That Dr. Murray that killed Michael Jackson, yeah, he'd be screwed because he'd have to pay a lot more because Michael Jackson made a whole lot more money. But that's the breaks. That's the breaks of being in the practice you're in. You don't have to take patients. You choose to. So there's your reform. And I did it in 2 pages. Ugh. I'm disgusted by the Democrats. I'm disgusted by the Republicans. And even though we need to vote these people out of office, and we definitely do, please go and vote. Even though we need to vote these people out of office, everybody needs to wake up and see that saying, all right, well, I'm going to pull the Republican switch down the line is not the right answer either. this whole ping pong nonsense of, well, now I don't like the Democrats, so I'm voting Republican. And now I don't like the Republicans, so I'm voting Democrat. That, my friends, is the stupidest thing of all. And it's the reason we're in this predicament that we're in now. Whether you like Barack Obama or you hate Barack Obama, whether you liked President Bush or you hated President Bush, whether you liked President Clinton or you hated President Clinton, whether you liked President Bush Sr. or you hated President Bush Sr., they're all the same. They and their governments are all the same. They have somewhat different fundamental, thought processes, and they have different ways of doing things, but they are all the same. So stop thinking there's a humongous difference and vote. At some point we've got to get it through our head that an independent person with independent thoughts who only cares about honoring this Constitution is much more just than either a Republican or a Democrat. People need to get that through their heads. Just as you can hate this healthcare bill, as I truly do, and I truly do, I also hate the Patriot Act that President Bush put into play. I hate illegal wiretaps. I hate the fact that you don't have due process anymore, that you're not entitled to the right to being silent, that all of that stuff has gone away, and that was on the Republican watch. It's because they're all the same. Barack Obama had the chance to repeal the Patriot Act. He didn't. He extended it. So you tell me that there's a fundamental difference between a Republican and a Democrat, and I'm going to tell you that you are so full of S that your eyes are turning brown. You got it? It's not the way it is. We need independent thinkers in the White House. And if that means that even on the smallest level, that you or somebody that you know that is articulate and works a job has to join your city council. And believe me, as radical as I am, I'm literally thinking that on the next term I'm going to try and run for some kind of a city council position, just because you need people with independent thoughts at every level of government. The reason we're out of control is because everybody thinks you got to pull left or you got to pull right, and you got to vote right down the line on that nonsense. It's crazy. It's crazy. But anyway, I need another break, but I'm not going to take it. We're going to finish this sucker up. Let's listen to a few more points here. We're not going to get through all of these, but again, if you want to hear this thing in its entirety and find out just how scary this healthcare law is, YouTube, Know the Truth About the Government Healthcare Bill, H.R. 3200, Key Points is the name of it. The name of the user is One Nation Under One God with the numbers 1 instead of spelled out 1. And, if you can't find the thing that way, you can look by the username. One Nation Under One God is the user. All right, so let's continue and see what other fun we've got in store for us as we move to the new socialist environment.
Page 150, line 9 through 13. Any employer with a payroll between $251,000 through $400,000 who does not provide the government option will pay a 2 to 6% tax on all payroll.
Same point as we made before. Just they're just lowering the price number a little bit so that they can still squeeze you hard as a small business owner and take money out of you no matter which way you turn. So basically, If you're a small business and you're close to not making it, you're struggling, especially a new small business that's just getting started. When you're a new small business, you're in it to lose. The way of thinking forever has always been you got to lose for 5 years before you win. That is the standard mantra. Well, now you have to lose from minute one even harder than you would based on not having any customers yet because you're brand new. Because automatically you're on the line for a 2 to 6% tax if you hire anybody to go out and, sell your product. This is ridiculous. It's ridiculous. You're going to, unless it's in the bill and I haven't seen it yet, you are going to see an army of 1099ers. You are going to see businesses with no employees. Look, I own a small business, and I'll tell you what, I'm going to tell it point blank the way it is. Unless there's a provision that stops me from doing it, I will never hire any employees. I will never do it. I will 1099. I will independent contract people to go sell my product for me. I will independent contract people to work for me to do work that I can't do myself for my business, because I'm not willing to give up 6% of this, 6% of